Hey everybody, my name is Grant Ellis, and I am the director of the Dracula Dossier Night's Black Agents campaign. I'm going to drop some bit.ly links in chat and below the YouTube video. That's where you're watching it. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah, so check out the game if you haven't yet. My chat bot is broken, so I've got to do things the manual way. And I'm perfectly happy to do so. So this campaign is a highly improvisational, collaborative campaign that takes use of the player's ideas, leads, thoughts, and impressions, and we use that to construct a campaign that's playable in the Nice Black Agents game system, which is powered by Gumshoe, designed by Robin Laws, where it features highly competent and capable player characters. You are guaranteed to succeed at most investigative tasks, but the trick is choosing the right one based on the clues that you find in your surrounding. The music is provided by Pelgrane Press. The album is Dust and Mirrors. Check it out at these bit.ly links either below the video on YouTube or in chat. Clicking on those links helps support the show. So when last we left our intrepid agents, they didn't get to play last week because I had to have dental surgery, which I had yesterday. I'm feeling much better. I'm still not perfect, but I'm good to play this week. And I figured this week it's important that we review the session prep that we did last time and look at different ways we can make modifications. I think it's important when a session gets canceled that we reset ourselves and find a good way to recalibrate. So let's take a look at what we have going on. First and foremost, we want to determine the nature of Daquan's dukedom. I have an interesting handout from the Hawkins papers, which is pretty intense. So this is a book. I'll show it to you here. It's a PDF. And there is a layout about the various dukes. Down here, where is it? There's business cards. I wish I had one for Mimit Luxai. Here we go, where it talks about the different dukes and why they are called what they are called. Hey! Good to see you, Dan. Thanks for coming out. Figuring out why each duke is called what they're called and what it all means and how it ties back to Edom. Let's see what the notes say about this. So I think I want to have that dropped on them. The Goetic org chart. A description of the Dukes of Edom. Couched in a pseudo-occult gibberish, it might be an inside joke by someone within Edom, or a coded threat by someone outside the organization. Discovered in connection to the psychic, open to the online mystics website. Oh, I should have put that in Psychic's house. Buried in the bookseller's papers. And then it gives the various roles of each of the dukes. And then there's ways you can use it to muddy the waters. I think it'll be worth it to go through these notes and figure out what we want to do. So, I think we have a good opportunity on the Proserpine, which is the place where we are going. Ooh. Essentially, there's these flash transmissions that we're going to Romania. Having some of those fall into, the player character's possessions. These props add an element of realness to the campaign. Let's look back at our prep. So, we want to determine Daquan's dukedom. And let's see what we decided. So, Daquan is going to be the Duke of eliminating dangerous threats and targets. Essentially, we looked at all the dukes and decided we would replace one with Pro Restarter's character, Pro being a player in the campaign. Now we need to seed an approach to the HMS Proserpine, and I think one of the things we decided there, one of the approaches, okay, yeah, Daquan is Duke Nails, also known as Jetheth, the top assassin. There's going to be some sexy vampires on the Proserpine. I think the American vampire might be there. It's either going to be Arlone or the American vampire. Essentially, our players are still going to have the ability to make choices. They could decide to go to Dead House, or they could decide to go straight to Castle Dracula, which is a little hard to find at the moment. Their best bet is to not go there directly. Their best bet is probably to cause a bunch of Edom problems, hold Edom captive, be like, take us to Castle Dracula, you know where it is, and then show up in disguise and cause problems that way. I think that would be the suggested route. I mean, it's up to them to decide how they want to do it, though. So, they're going to need to get a small boat, and essentially, I think what they need to do is a traffic analysis of soil that is being imported. And they need to find soil that's diverted to the North Sea. We talked about there being 2 organizations. One organization does blood transport to and from vampires. I'm scrolling. I apologize for doing it. Here we go. HGDs. So there's support that comes from HGD's shipping, and then there's blood that comes from Axel Logistics. So we have to seed clues. This is going to be our to-do. We will bring it down here. So let's add a page break. I apologize for you watching on screen where it's just a big white blob. But that's just the way I operate. First things first. HMS Proserpine. We know Axel Logistics. Proserpine ratings. HGD shipping. These are the three ways that they can get there. So we'll need to come up with clues. A good way to do that is to just check them out in the Director's Handbook, which we have right here. So let's do each of them at a time. First things first. Axel Logistics. Page 141. It's an international shipping company headquartered in London. Our players are not far from there. Most of the clients are finance companies and government departments. Make use of the company's services. The drayage company hired by Billington and Sons to transport Dracula's boxes of earth was purchased by companies who were themselves purchased by other companies over the course of the 20th century. Many were ex-Royal Air Force. So we're gonna need a seed that they're gonna have to find a way to get there, and one of the ways they can get there is through here. Pardon me. All right. Could be they're transporting something very important, and there will be a lead that tells them. And then let's check out HGD shipping. Dracula departed England hastily on board the Tsarina Catherine, which was owned by Charles Hapgood, as noted in Cushing Note number 240. HGD has small cargo ships. They're probably... Edom has them. Yeah, essentially, that's what we need to do. This is going to be the one we want to... You can see we mentioned in chat before that... Here, let me give you a look. Yeah, Dracula came by on the Demeter. For logistical reasons, the supply boats that support HMS Proserpine are registered as belonging to HGG shipping. That's gonna be... This is our keynote. So this is the seed that we want to do. So let's... Boop. These we'll just put vampiric supplies and relics. And we did decide that Lucy Westerna is in charge of Edom. She would not be at she would not be at the Proserpine, most likely. Let's check the director's handbook. They're going to need to catch someone. They don't know any of these folks yet, necessarily. They might be able to get that information out of Tarber, who I think they are currently talking to. Tarber gave them information. We'll have to prepare for a potential break-in. All right, let's go back to our notes because this is pretty good. We know that HGD shipping. The players already know that there's something going on out there. They're not too sure how to get there, but what they will have is information on the shipping company, and what they can do is they can narrow in on the next shipment. They can probably sneak aboard, fight their way aboard, follow behind, infiltrate. They have lots of options. Next, let's see what we've got. So the best thing for them to do is to go to Axel Logistics, put themselves in like vampire coffins with like long-term oxygen tanks, like space station level technology, and be like, new shipment of vampires gets sent out to the Proserpine. They open the coffins and out they come. That would be great. Hide in vampire coffins. I want to add that to my notes as something to try. Let's do it. What did we find? A bunch of vampire coffins. What was inside? The player characters. We all vampires now. And that reminds me, Shang is starting to learn vampiric magic from Le Dragon Noir. So the ways to infiltrate. Pose as shippers. Pose as shipment. Detach from main. Here's what I kind of mean by this. They can either come on and be the shipping folk. Filling in. They can intercept. We're sending in irregulars. Irregulars? Yep, we're sending them in. They are not the standard folks. They are not going to be who you typically expect. All right, that's fair. And see, I'm coming up with plans. I know it's my player's job, but I have to think like a player in this situation because I have clever and crafty players. They'll come up with all sorts of ways to get in, or they might not. But it's important to think both ways. Next, the second thing to do is they need to. They can either be the shippers or they can find the shippers, be like, you're putting us in that cargo and you're taking us aboard. That's very risky and very dangerous. Probably the best way that works is to have someone like Daquan pretend to be a shipper and put everyone else in the box. They open the box, Antal comes out and kills everyone. Jisoo as well. So the other thing to do is to detach from main. While maybe they have an underwater vehicle, like a sub, or a compartment that they can attach to the bottom of the delivery vessel. They can be taken over, drop off, then sneak up the side of the Proserpina. They need to find Hopkins, so let's look at... what's going on here. So let's look at... So it's a shore base. So, something to note is the players are going to use their research skills to try to... Let's make a note that encourage players to investigate for information on the stone frigate shore base prior to approach. There's a lot of things they can learn about it that way. Boop. They have some of the satellite imagery, and they know that there are things going there. They could possibly get an Edom helicopter. That's something else I hadn't even thought about. They could go back to Gibraltar. And going to Gibraltar, they could get it there. Likewise, Chicken Little, who we've mentioned as an NPC in the campaign, Chicken Little has access to an Edom helicopter. Only Daquan knows this. That would be very dangerous. And Daquan's a duke. It wouldn't be uncommon for a duke to show up. Those are other ways they could think about it. So let me write this down. It's pretty good. It's not bad. Where it says here that it's cool in the book, that means if this was like a dead lead, but it's going to be a hot lead. This is essentially where their folks are. Hopkins. So let's drop some maps. Vampire holding cells. Alright. The upper deck. Weather station, helipad. This is the fun stuff we get to play with maps. Cells and a vampire holding cell. A special interrogation. Let's look at some of the other things that we decided here. Dr. Dawes. I think we decided Dr. Dawes was someone of importance. Let's look at some of our ideas. Oh, that's the other. That's the ring. Draws. Not Daws. Do. So George Stoker's, I think, who we originally thought it was. Who is the original? This is one of the original individuals that went on the Dracula mission. So it's going to be an immortal. We already have a number of immortals, so we might consider making it the modern Van Helsing. It's Dr. Jacqueline Seward. So legacy folks are people tied to the past. I think it's worth Geared Horn Van Helsing. So we can check this. If Geared is with Edom, like his great-great-great-family, Geared might actually be working for any number of possible masters. Edom got their hooks into Geared very early, turning the liberation of the Netherlands in 1945. They traced the Van Helsing bloodline to one very hungry 8-year-old boy in the ruins of Rotterdam, of the Ela of the era, who might have been Van Sloan, brought him into the British Army base and into the fold. Since then, he has served 2 masters, Edom and the Democratic Socialist left. This was easier before Thatcher came to power, and Geared stopped active cooperation with Edom in 1979, using the mole hunt as a convenient excuse to break off. However, Edom knows they can't count on him. They can count on him if it must. So there's a chance this Van Helsing child, that doesn't seem very interesting at all. Let's take a look at Jacqueline Seward. Dr. Seward is an internationally respected hematologist and oncologist. University College London, 1996. Nickname the Shark. She's the great-great-great-granddaughter of Jack Seward. It might work at Seward's science. But she doesn't. She works possibly on the HMS Proserpine. Seward continues her ancestor search on behalf of Edom. She's responsible for the production and refinement of the Seward serum, which can be good. Her trips to Romania often include testing various... Her work with Heal the Children might be cover for such experiments. For a more charitable interpretation, Seward's experimenting with ways to use the vampire blood to treat otherwise incurable diseases. I like that. I like that. That is a tough one. That is, there's a version of the Jekyll and Hyde musical where Dr. Jekyll is viewed far more sympathetically. We're going to copy and paste this one in. Bold my prep. So let's add the doctor. I like that. That really seems to humanize it for me. When I say humanize, like having an immortal, bloodthirsty individual is I mean, it's a thing, but I don't think it's necessarily going to resonate with the players. And I know Sharng's just going to be like, I kill her! She's going to have vampires and jacks, so we'll just copy and paste this. So Seaward continues her ancestors' research. Let's delete where it says minion, because she's not a Dracula minion. I think she does a combination of enhancing the Dracs. I'm going to... Yeah, we have to have someone that maybe she's working with. Maybe have some of Daquan's past. I like that. I'm feeling so much better about that now. This is why... this is one reason why we do what I'll call second prep. So we prep, and then we have a second chance at prep, and we can reread. We can take more time. We can go deeper into the material and find something. I like the idea now that we understand that they might fly in. We know that Dr. Draws is there. Draws is under, essentially, Lucy Westerna. They're trying to control Dracula. Could be they're trying to control Dracula to create more vampire assigns, and they're going to lure the assigns into a farm and milk them of their essentially cellular frames. And hey, Arberlin, good to see you. They're going to steal the biology from them and use it to cure all these diseases around the world. And they're like, we have to create vampires in order to fight disease, and we can control the vampires. And this is what we have to do. This is our calling. It's not pretty, but it is the way. This is how we do it. This is a good point to mention again that this game is sponsored by Pelgrane Press. Our chatbot is broken today, but if you click below the links in the YouTube video, for those of you watching this on YouTube, or reading it in Twitch chat, we have some bit.ly links. Check them out to support the game. We also have a voucher code, and this voucher code is great because it'll get you 20% off of the products. Boom. Brilliant. I'm feeling pretty good about that. And then I think we need to look at defenses, so let's look at jacks. See if we can find them. Jacks. Boop. Quincy's is the American term for jacks. I think we can find more information on them in the the opposition forces chapter. Brides of Dracula. Yeah, there's Dracula. We are going to have to go deeply into his ability. If it's just Seaward Serum, that's not too bad. 1894 Vampire. I have stats for a Jack from the Harker Intrusion. And we'll see. The Renfield stats might be the way to go. Let's take a look at them. I mean, Jacks are essentially souped up. All right. So we will actually take a snippet of this and add it to our notes. Just copy that. Change the compulsion just so we have it on hand. Edit, copy. Jacks. There we go. We got him. Got him. So, there we have it. We'll kind of explain what these is. These are pools, point pools they can spin, so they're very good at shooting, very powerful hand-to-hand. Their aberrance is very high. Mechanically, let's talk about what that means. So, aberrance. Anytime a human character would use athletics, a vampire character likely uses aberrance. Alright. It also determines their hit threshold. It's also a point pool for special powers. I like that. So, we know that these folks are going to be pretty powerful. They're going to have some powers, and there will be Jacks that are... Now, our players have those UV guns that they can use if they remember them. And I would let those kind of either do mass damage or control the Jacks. The main reason they're coming here, though, is to hatch Hopkins. So for the last part of our prep, we will determine Hopkins. So someone's going to be there breaking Hopkins. It's probably going to be the Hound. You know, I know someone that I could invite last minute to come on. I should get my friend Diana, Super Dylan from Twitter, to be Hound. But I wouldn't want her to necessarily sit around. That's the challenge with NPCs and bringing in players to do that, like if they're sitting around. So Hound is breaking Hopkins in a special cell. A countdown begins till Hopkins breaks. Thank you so much for the subscription, Hail Tom 3. It's appreciated. So, and the reward is Hopkins is going to be like, we have access here to the entire conspiracy. which is exciting. And I think, yeah, they're going to have to start setting their sights on Castle Dracula. So the goal here is to set up like a very dynamic beat. So let's kind of write out our story beats now that we've discussed the prep. So beat 1, finding how to get to HMS Proserpine. I keep saying Proserpine, and you all are probably tired of that. You're most excited, Colin. Wow, bless this mess. Good to see you, Colin. So that's what we need to do, and this is going to be tracking down HGD shipping. Ugh. Tracking down HGD. Yeah, I get that. For those of you watching on YouTube, Colin is behaving in the chat, not making jokes. Actual logistics. So all right, so that's sort of beat 1. They're going to have to figure out, they're going to have to make a decision. There's plenty of leads that they have. Beat 2, infiltration. Find Hopkins or deal with a vampire. Beat 3, hound or draws. Beat 4, escape. And yeah, there's a lot of different ways that this could there's a lot of different ways that we could figure out how to get those. And usually what we do in the books, like the Edom files, which was nominated for an NE a few years back, I think in 2017, is figuring out the lead in and the lead out. So we know that our vampire is either going to be Arlan or the American vampire. I like the idea of the American vampire. I like the idea of draws and the jacks essentially working. There's going to be scientists in the meta lab. And if they do the data dump right, they will be able to find. There needs to at least be. So they interrogated Tarber last section. Tarber would have probably a connection on the HMS Proserpina that could help them. So I think what we need to do is look at Tarber in the book, because he had a bunch of information. So boop. Here he is. Alexander Tarber. Maybe the Balkans expert? That's Mabel Garrett. Mabel Garrett was the... that's who Margot, the ballet expert, was based on in the 70s when the ballet is supposed to take place.